right.
Let's do this. Welcome to the Lady J Meat Dudes. I'm Evan.
Tyler.
And we are joined here by our good buddy now, our new buddy, Jeff, from Jeff's Texas Style Barbecue in Marysville.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, he just came down, man. We've been chatting on Instagram. It's funny. We've been, hearing about you from so many different people. And, they're just randomly like, hey, do you know about that guy in Marysville?
Who's this fucking Jeff guy?
I have no idea, man. What's going on, man? But,
well, the only reason I contacted you first is
did.
because my customers were coming in and telling me, do you know these guys up in, West Seattle?
Bro, it's fate.
I'm like, what? West Seattle? Like where you have to lock your dumpster garbage cans and stuff like that? That's scary up there, man.
Well, I know. The old
Going
city,
there.
huh?
Yeah, it's the big city for me.
Don't go out after dark.
Man.
Wow.
No, and it was fate, I swear, because right before you hit me up, 3-4 people were talking about you, and I was like, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden I get this Instagram message from you, and I'm like, oh my God, is this guy reading my mind? So I love it, man.
That's probably not what happened. I'm probably I got beat up by my customers.
You were reading minds?
We were sending customers up there, little secret shoppers.
No, I'm married. That proves I can't read minds,
Love it. Oh, that's cool, man. No, but for real, you do some good stuff. You do some good stuff up there. We've been hearing great things. You do Texas style, and we always talk about how we're not Texas style. So I think it's really cool that you came up here and visited us, and we could kind of chat a little bit about what makes your style. Why do you want to do a Texas style barbecue spot in Washington from a guy who's not even from Texas? So where are you from?
I'm from Ohio originally.
Yeah.
So and I thought for a long time, until I was about 34 years old, that barbecue was grilled chicken with barbecue sauce on it, and that was barbecue.
Right.
Potato salad. That was it.
Yeah.
Or a barbecue was burgers and dogs on the grill.
Yeah.
And it is. Anytime you get people together like that, cool. I mean, it's a barbecue, a backyard barbecue. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until 1994 I decided I was a musician, and I was making an album, making a CD. Remember those CDs? Yeah. And decided to do some touring, and ended up going to Texas to play some shows, and ate barbecue for the first time down there, and it was just a little shack, smoked meat, no sauce,
Do you remember
no fork.
the first meat, what it was?
It was brisket.
Brisket?
Yeah.
There it is.
Bomb.
Lasting impression right there. I mean, it just, I was pretty much blown away. I was 34,
Yeah.
and I had never really tasted smoked meat before.
Yeah.
And if I had, I didn't know I had. So,
Not like that.
not like that. So, and it was just some dumpy little shack, and I wish I could remember the name of it. I wish I knew where it was.
This was in Austin, or?
It was just outside of Austin, yeah.
Cool.
And for the life of me, there's no chance that I could remember the name of it. I didn't know it was going to be a pivotal moment in my life, So, after coming back,
Pivotal moment.
it was
It's a good name for
pivotal
It's a
moment.
good name for a cocktail.
Oh, yeah, true that.
Oh, the pivotal moment cocktail.
There you go.
Probably got absinthe in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. So, it just kind of stuck with me, and I started playing around, buying smokers in the backyard and trying to smoke some meat, and wasn't really getting anywhere. Decided that maybe it was time to go back down to Texas and learn how to make some stuff. So, so went back down there, just hung out, hung around people. Decided I needed a bigger smoker than these little backyard things. So I bought a bigger one, which I thought was huge. A little bit bigger than the one you have here.
Yeah.
And that's what I opened my barbecue joint with.
Wow.
But it quickly became too small, and we had to get a bigger sister.
You still got that thing?
No. Sold that to Jason. Jason, take care of Betty. Okay.
Betty.
Love it,
Daddy.
Well, real quick, hold on.
Yep.
How'd you name that smoker?
Black
'Cause
Betty.
We had just talked about that earlier because
Yeah. Bama Lamb.
I had to tell him how we named Cletus,
Uh-huh.
and he got how many you have now? 3?
Well, there's 3 in the back right now at the joint. Yeah.
We got Henry back there.
Henry's back there.
Uh-huh.
The Surfer.
Henry and
It's not really a name, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a descriptor, I guess. The Surfer. And then Bertha,
and Bertha.
Betty's big sister.
And Bertha does the heavy lifting.
Bertha does.
Briskets.
Bertha's the offset pit.
So how
that
many?
does
How many
all of it.
briskets on Bertha?
I think we put 33 on there max.
33 briskets. Oh my gosh.
Probably squeeze a few more in there if we had to, but we usually don't have to.
Dang, that's crazy.
But yeah,
man.
so I came back. I started experimenting with trying to cook a little bit better now that I had a bigger pit.
Yeah.
And, you get better at it, and you're doing backyard cooks and stuff like that. And tried the, 37 spice rub and all the different sauces and injections and, all kinds of stuff. And basically it all circled back around to, I just wanted to taste like beef.
Yes.
Simplicity.
Right.
I wanted to taste like beef. And so I went back to salt and pepper, and that's it. And
That's right.
then I've tried every hardwood that there is.
What gauge of pepper do you use?
This is a good question. So I don't go by gauge. I have a microscope at home, and I bought a whole bunch of different pepper, and I looked at it under the microscope.
Shut up.
Oh wow.
And I found that most of them, the pepper shards were kind of sharp and jagged, but except this one brand that almost seemed like it was shaved. They were almost like little flat discs.
Huh?
Wow.
I used that one. Lays down on
Science.
the meat better.
Science. I like that. That's cool. So what? Why?
Probably
why'd
doesn't
you
make
choose
any
that one?
difference.
What does it do? Is it just
Lays down on the meat
just
better.
lays down on the meat?
Yeah, it doesn't bounce off.
Just tax on there. I got it.
Stacks
I
on?
get it.
Okay. Okay.
I get it. Now for us,
That's cool.
coming up in the fancy restaurant scene, use the freshest Telecherry peppercorns that you can possibly get because we're, in fancy
That's
chef
right.
coat restaurants. You're
And that's why
filling
he's
your pepper
wearing pink.
grinder.
Yeah.
That's why
That's why you're wearing pink. Because it's a fancy restaurant guy.
fancy as fuck. You fill up your pepper grinder for your station every night.
Yep.
Fresher.
Fresh ground pepper is
It's the best.
but it's really, really
hot.
sharp, very, very hot.
Yeah.
And so, like as much pepper as you put on a brisket,
Yeah.
we put a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
There's just no chance we could do that.
It took us.
No chance. And I've tried it.
It took us that
just
long
doesn't
to
work.
learn that lesson. That's a bad lesson because you get some peppery brisket because you're just like because
super hot.
in our minds as
Like,
the
wanna use the
fancy
fancy,
kids,
right?
you
Yeah.
want to use the nicest shit possible.
Yep.
And like our homie Maddie was like trying to give us all these beautiful spices. I'm like, dude, I want to use all these, but they're just too fresh. They're too
Exactly.
strong.
They're too good.
They're
Yep.
too good for barbecue because what's happening in that molecular program is that all the volatile oils are slowly being released in that soft temperature cooking. So it's released, which just overpowers everything.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're spot on. I mean, it's not a good thing.
It isn't.
But
I
you know,
mean, it's
but I've
really
got friends
weird
down
to
in
order
Texas.
table ground pepper.
Yeah. I've got friends that use table ground pepper
Yep, for
on
sure.
brisket.
For sure.
Soft.
Why not? It's
Yeah.
very soft. It's not as bitey. It doesn't have as much grain. It doesn't have as much texture. I don't know. I guess we all kind of do what we do, right?
Yeah.
We use it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
though.
So that's what I do.
So you opened up Jeff's Texas Style Barbecue in 2016, you said?
Yeah, January of 2016.
So from 94 when you first tasted it to 2016 is when you've been testing. You know all that stuff. Did you work in any other places or what?
No, I
where's the
just
story go?
in the backyard, and
Love it, man.
I didn't really get like heavily into it until the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, and that's when I went back down to Texas. Started going back there quite a few times, a year, and made a lot of friends down there. Watched their technique,
Some expensive years of testing right there.
well,
Best
no,
way to
it's
do it.
it's fun. You take your vacation time from your job and you go down to Texas and
Yeah.
hang out and
That's
look
the
at
way to
barbecue
learn,
stuff. But the biggest takeaway for me, and you could probably back me up on this too, is that if you don't know what your target is, you'll never hit it. So a lot of people go out and they buy a Traeger, some kind of a pellet smoker or something like that, and they think, now I can make a brisket. Well, having a smoker doesn't mean you even know what a brisket's supposed to look like, taste like. You don't know anything about a brisket.
You know how to trim it.
You don't know how to trim it. You don't know anything about a brisket. You don't know how to season it. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
And you think, just because you now own a smoker, that you can actually make a good brisket. And you just can't. It's like giving somebody a bow and arrow and saying, okay, hit the target.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, where's the target? I'm not going to tell you. Well, you'll never hit it, right?
How do I use this thing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So the big takeaway for me those years was learning what a good brisket was, learning what I liked about brisket, and then basically reverse engineering it back to the equipment that I had, the wood that I had, and the capabilities that I had, and how much time I had, because there's guys down there that are still trying to cook them for 16 hours.
Let me ask you this question.
I ain't got the time.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
What was the hardest learning curve into what you're doing now in your brisket? What was the one that got you?
Scaling.
Scaling as far as
Scaling.
pounds per hour and how hot and just everything all together
Just going from cooking 1 or 2 in the backyard
to 33.
to
Make it your 30 or
to filling up
perfect.
the pad. Yeah, that's definitely one of the most difficult things is, everything in barbecue is a variable. The temperature, ambient temperature is different, relative humidity is different, barometric pressure is different, every piece of wood is different, every piece of meat is different. Everything about every single cook is different. It's all variables. And what I'm trying to do is put all those variables together in this equation and get the same exact result 25 times, all at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the most difficult thing. Consistency of scale.
And
That's
as
way
we
harder
know,
than people
consistency
understand.
is key
The only
to
thing that matters.
success.
Yeah.
Consistency.
And so what you do is, what I did was I decided to take some variables out completely. So how hot do you cook? When you're cooking a steak or whatever, you can temp it with an Insta-read, and it'll tell you 22, and it's right where you want it. It'll carry over a little bit, and you'll be up there at that rare or that mid-rare or whatever you want. You get to know your heats and your how much it's going to carry over. With brisket, you can temp it, and dude, I'm telling you, I've had briskets finish at 185 degrees internal, and they're done. And I've had briskets finish at 215 degrees
That's
internal, and they're
crazy.
done.
Wow.
Every brisket's different.
That's crazy.
So how do you get around this temp thing? If you're going to believe in time or temperature, you're not going to be right very often.
Ooh.
So now I decided to use my eyes and use my hands because I know they won't lie to me. Temperature and time will. So every single brisket I touch and I look at to make sure when it's done, it's done. They don't all finish at the same time.
Yeah.
They finish when that one's done.
Yep.
And there could be an hour and a half difference between the first one that comes off and the last one that comes off on any given day.
And for me to learn, Cletus, there's different hot spots in every smoker.
Oh, yeah, you gotta
Everybody
know
does
your
the test.
equipment
You
very
put your
well.
white bread, your Triscuits or whatever you're putting in
I
there.
like to put
get your-
bacon in because you can eat it later.
That's probably a way
The
better.
bacon
Yeah.
test.
Yes.
But all the hot spots, you got to learn all that stuff if
Mm-hmm.
you're really looking for the consistency and moving. And then every time you open the door and you're going to pull out and you're going to wrap, you're going to take another 2 hours. And, internal temp for some people is anything over 190.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the meat, depends on all that stuff. There is tons
Oh
of
yeah,
variables.
grades. Obviously, you guys do a lot of Wagyu, and it finishes at a different temperature
Sure does.
yeah.
than a select or a choice grade would.
Sure does.
Of course it will. Yeah.
So what's your brisket process? Because you're saying you're touching everyone to finish it. Are you there when you start it and then you go home and you come back, or are you cooking it all day long? Because you open at 11 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Just line out the door, so you're 11 o'clock to sell out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of go through that process of like when that brisket goes on the night before or the day before.
Okay. So I decided very early on that I didn't want to work at night
Yes.
because when I first opened, I was the prep cook, I was the butcher, I was the smoker, pit guy, I was slicing on the cutting board. I was everything when I first opened. I thought it was going to be like a one-man show. It didn't stay that way, but that's what I thought it was going to be.
Good.
That was kind of the plan, and it didn't work out. So I decided that I would invest in some very, very high-end hot holding cabinets with water pans and stuff like that you can create this beautiful environment for a brisket to rest in for a very long time. It loses maybe a touch of viability. There's, the very tip of the flap might dry out a little bit, but for the most part, they're really wonderful. So we can cook the day before. Yeah. So get up, get in, 5 o'clock, start fires. Generally, we've prepped the briskets. Either me or somebody else has prepped the briskets and seasoned them, trimmed them and seasoned them the night before. Mm-hmm. They sit overnight. I found out, I get asked this a lot, do you need to do it overnight? Does it make any difference? Can you trim them and season them right before they go on the pit? I've done it both ways. I can't taste the difference in it, honestly. So I don't think that matters. So whether I'm prepping in the morning and getting them on or they were prepped the night before, doesn't matter to me. We get them on and burning post oak wood in an offset pit. We run them anywhere between 4.5 and 6.5 hours until we get, again, using my eyes and using my hands, I don't know what temperature they are. I'm looking for bark formation. I'm looking for that tightening of the flat where it starts to curl up a little bit on the end. And I'm, as the muscle fibers get hot, they start to shrink, and the water, a lot of water in meat, it starts to come out, which is what you want. And boy, they start to get nice and tight. When they go on the pit, they look like this. Right at that stage when we're ready to wrap, because we wrap them, you can pick it up from one end and it's just like a board sticking straight out. They're just
hard.
They're hard as rock.
Yeah.
So they go from soft to hard, and then we're going to take them back to soft. And that's it. So we have 2 gas-fired smokers, and at that point, since wood is very expensive, post oak wood, and as I was telling you earlier,
Absolutely.
Coming in from Texas.
Yeah.
it's too expensive. But so we don't want to burn it for heat. We want to burn it for flavor.
Yep.
So at that point, take them off the offset pit, wrap them up in butcher paper, which it could be butcher paper, it could be aluminum foil. You could do them unwrapped. You're going to get more bark creation just from heat if you leave it unwrapped. I like kind of a middle of the road bark, more of a sticky than crunchy bark.
Okay.
So that's my target. So wrap them in butcher paper, lets it breathe a little bit, but basically it turns it into something is protected now. It's protected from radiant heat.
Yes.
So we put them into our convection oven at that point. Basically, it's a rotisserie smoker that has a wood box on it, and you can smoke ribs and stuff like that on it in the morning. Then in the afternoon, you put your briskets in there for the rendering stage. The rendering stage can go on for 5 hours or 7 hours or whatever, however long it takes until they get done. And then we call it running the pit. We'll go out there and squeeze them. This one's done. It comes off. It goes into hot hold. This one's not done. It stays on, and so on and so forth. Then the next day at 11 o'clock, we start slicing them and selling them.
They ready.
Bang.
And we're already cooking for the next
For the
day.
next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's having that brisket, that time structure to be able to do brisket. Because like you said, a lot of us we don't want to work overnight. Man. Like I don't.
Dude,
I got
I've
kids,
done enough
man.
of that.
That's one of the answers that I have to give everybody often, because everybody comes in like, how come you don't do brisket? I'm like, well, because you're looking at me. That's all you got. I'm not going to be here on that, sleeping on that table
That's
in a
right.
sleeping bag, feeding the fire all freaking night
And
long.
if you do brisket, you gotta be
do it
set
right.
up to do it because you gotta do it right. And like I say, you gotta have a huge smoker to be able to do 30 of those and have different holdings for them and everything like
Yeah.
that.
Well, having a big smoker, I mean, this is a really nice smoker. Yeah. And I love the thickness of it and the weight of it. I'm sure it holds temp very well.
Pretty good.
That's what you need. You need that consistency. And you probably, I don't know if you've done a lot of long cooks like briskets and stuff like that, but what I found over the years, or pretty early on, but it's always something I'm thinking about. If you have a smoker temp that's going up and down in a sine wave, it's still going to be fine. You can still get to the target. You still get to the goal. But it's going to take longer.
Way longer.
All it does is increase your cook length.
Yeah.
You know, you just cook longer. If you can get it, ramp it up to a temperature and have it hold rock solid,
Steady.
man, it shortens the cook
And
up
trust.
so much.
Trust
Yeah.
that you have a 4-hour window in there where you don't really need to open up the door a
That's
whole bunch
right.
and poke at them.
Well, we've got about a 2.5 hour window before we start poking at them.
Yeah. So you don't want to have
That's
a
what I'm
social
saying.
media guy like me that opens it up and takes photos.
I come out
every
and
15 fucking minutes.
I come out sometimes on a Friday. Like, hey, shut that fucking door!
Shut
What are
the
you
door,
doing, man?
shut
Let
the
me
door.
Eat out.
Hey man, people gotta see it. They want to see it. I
That's
swear.
funny. Yeah, we get that stuff
we
too.
did prime ribs last Friday.
Yeah.
Oh
Quit
yeah.
opening that damn door.
Yeah, prime rib is good though, man. That's cool. What would be like a one or two tips for like a home smoker that maybe just got their smoker and they want to do brisket, or they've been struggling doing briskets? What's some advice for them?
I got one that you said already. Don't overthink it. Don't do tons of rub and cram it into every crevice and like tons of sauce. Like, keep it simple. Start out slow.
Yep. Okay.
For years, my best advice when someone would come to me and say, Jeff, I want to get a smoker and I want to smoke brisket at home, my advice for many, many years was, okay, that's not really smart. Okay, it's not smart at all, because you can just come by mine.
Yes.
But if you have to, and some people, you just have to do it, look at your backyard I said, walk out your back door in your apartment, in your house or whatever. Look out there. Is it neat and tidy? Yes. Okay, well, you can't have an offset smoker because you can have a wood pile.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have to get a pellet smoker because your wife's going to kick your ass for having a wood pile out there.
Yep.
And you're going to be sitting out there drinking beer all the time, and which is really fun, by the way.
Heyo.
But it's much easier. I mean, we all know that when you're set up in a restaurant type thing or a barbecue joint type place or a joint like yours, you're kind of this is a very eclectic place, which I love. I mean, you don't fit into any of the normal molds. This place is really cool. You got to come here.
You could say we're abnormal.
Totally.
Get to Lady J. But yeah, it's when you're set up already. I mean, I get up, I walk in at 5 o'clock in the morning. I go in the walk-in. My briskets are prepped. I go out and I start my fire.
Load it up.
Boom, everything's in place. Load it up. Get cooking. At home, it's a little bit harder than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, especially the first 100 or so briskets that you do at home.
Yeah. You gotta do a few.
It's just you just don't get a feel for it. First of all, you have to find your smoker. Where did you store it last fall?
Clean it.
And then you got to clean it. Or we clean ours after every cook.
Yeah.
As soon as it gets empty, we clean it, so it's always clean for the next time. Now, you use it so often that it pretty much stays clean.
You got it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really difficult for people to want to do it at home. I did for the past few years. I've been doing this thing called brisket school, and take 10 students. They come in on a Sunday morning. Memorial Day and Labor Day are the 2 dates that we usually do it because those are Monday holidays.
Yeah.
Come in on Sunday morning early. Show them how to trim a brisket, season a brisket, and basically just go through the process with them of what I do.
Totally.
And then we smoke them, and they tend fire, and we eat, and we drink beer, and we drink Bloody Marys and stuff like that, and it's really fun.
We gotta come.
I want to do that.
Dude, it's really fun.
Yeah, let's
okay,
go.
it's the most fun thing that I think I get to do.
Cool.
It truly is.
I like that.
So, and then we just sit around and smoke meat, and there's nothing else to do because it's Sunday. So, it's our last day open for the week, so we're not cooking for tomorrow. So all we're doing is cooking I usually throw a
Finishing
couple
the
on
week.
those.
That sounds
I'm just,
great.
everybody has a brisket, so there's 10 briskets on there, and I throw a couple more on there so that we can play around with them in the morning and dissect them and show them the different muscles and, show them the decal fat and show them grain structure and things like that. So it's more for, showing them about slicing and presenting. But yeah, I recommend if anybody wants to learn how to smoke brisket from me, keep an eye on our social media. And
What is your social media tag?
What is my social media
I
tag?
pull up my phone. I pull it up. I'll put a link in the bio.
Okay, is it Jeff's Texas Style Barbecue?
I think it is.
That'd be good if it was.
That makes
I think
sense.
it's pretty close to that. Yeah. So
I think it was created a long time ago, and I don't ever look at
Yeah,
that.
I see you on there all the time. You're always posting, hey, we got this much left. We got 2 racks of ribs and 10 pounds of brisket and all that stuff left.
And then 30 minutes later, we don't have anything
It's
left
gone.
because people see that and they come in and grab it.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
What I've learned from opening this spot with these guys and talking to people like you is this is really, it's not a science. Like, smoking is absolutely not a science. It is an art. Like, when you go in there and you're touching the brisket and you're looking at it with your eyes, I mean, like, that takes you cooking 1,000 briskets or more to be able to do that. And it's like the 10,000 hour rule, right? Like, you're not going to be good on your first brisket. And then, a lot of people are scared to try it too. Like, I don't want to screw it up. Or we get a lot of that with Wagyu beef. I don't want to screw it up. Well, you know what? First of
How
all,
do I cook this?
it's pretty easy.
Like
It's
a
pretty
steak.
easy to cook.
Cook it.
It's hard to screw up, but like you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
But
to
again,
be
knowing
good at it.
knowing what the goal is, knowing what you
Yeah.
want. I mean, you get a nice, Wagyu whatever cut. You got to know what you want it to look like.
End result. Start with the end in mind.
Start with the end in mind.
Yep.
Cook it.
Yep.
We're all cooks. I mean, anybody can cook.
Yeah.
Some people have a little bit more experience.
That's the thing.
They can get there a little quicker sometimes.
Takes some hours.
Sometimes.
Takes some brisket. Takes some mistakes. Got to crack some eggs to make an omelet.
That's right.
But
I think it's bake a cake.
yeah, man, I would say make an omelet.
You got to crack some eggs to bake a cake.
That was it. When I was flair bartending back in the
Pound
day,
cake.
that's what we would say, bro. So, it's funny though. You talking about going down to Austin, Texas, and learning from those guys. Like that's when I was like, funny enough, I was a flair bartender. We travel around and do crazy flair shows in different bars and stuff. But I'd go to Vegas, and that was like my vacation. I'm going to Vegas. I'm sitting at that bar and I'm watching the guys that are best in the world, and I'm asking them questions, and I'm writing down notes. I'm like a nerd. Oh, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? Take me back to your house and show me this, show me that. And like that's how you have to learn things, right? You have to go to where the best are and learn from them. So
I think I would agree 100%.
yeah,
I mean,
that's why we got to go to your brisket school.
What are you saying, man?
Hey, I think it'd be fun, man. I think it'd be fun.
I'm not doing brisket. God damn it.
I think we should do some kind of a collaboration.
Okay.
Like I come
Cool.
over here and smoke
Sure.
some briskets on
Yeah.
what's this dude's name?
Cletus.
Cletus.
Yeah, we got to.
Y'all seen Cletus before?
We
Cletus is
gotta
over here
do
to our
that.
left.
That would be fun.
I'll bring some briskets down here and smoke them,
Yeah.
poke them, and finish them and slice them.
We do some great content
I'll wake
with
up
that.
early for that.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I'll
Oh,
wake
yeah,
up
that'd be
early.
fun. We could do that. That'd be great on a Sunday. That'd be great
Hell
because
yeah.
the patio will be here. People will be sitting around here watching it. They would
Probably
love
gonna
it.
need to invest in a hammock.
Yeah,
I'll
for
need
you,
it
yeah.
back here.
No, it's actually in the business plan. You're not allowed to sleep at work.
Nope.
Stupid.
No
man.
sleeping at work.
What?
Can't do it.
You
Can't
gotta sign the waiver.
Yeah. That's funny you say that because on my very first brisket that I ever did on this little Oklahoma Joe, when we were testing recipes for this place before we even had this lease signed, I didn't know what I was getting into because I'd never used this Oklahoma Joe.
Yeah.
And to get it to that two
Oklahoma's always a little offset cooker.
little
Yeah.
offset smoker,
Yeah.
and I could put like a 4x4 block of applewood in there at a time. And so I actually was getting, it was like 4 a.m, and I set my alarm, and I was just like sleeping on the couch outside by the smoker, and it would go off, and I'd open the door, put some more
Load
wood in,
another
shove
wood
it
junk
out.
in there, yeah.
I eventually wrapped it up and just took it inside and put it in the oven.
Also a good plan.
I'm not gonna lie.
Also
Yeah.
a good plan.
It turned out pretty good.
You gotta get it done.
Whatever.
That's dope, man.
Cheating.
No, I love it, man. This is cool. I'm so glad that you came down here, man. And
I'm glad I
checked this
finally
out.
did too, man. I've been
Yeah.
trying to get down here for so long,
Oh, it's really good to talk, man.
and finally got to do this stuff.
Heck
I
yeah.
love it, man. Where do your recipes come from, real quick, before we jet out of here?
They're all mine, kind of over the years, kind of stuff. Our sauce recipes, we have an original and a hot sauce.
Yeah.
The hot is just a hotter version of the original.
Yeah.
But I did study, went back and looked like at really, really old Texas,
Yeah.
there's this guy, Daniel Vaughn, who writes for Texas Monthly magazine. He's the barbecue editor, and he's kind of a historian on Texas barbecue and stuff. And he had written this article about like when sauce was first used on barbecue in Texas.
Okay.
And it's back a lot farther than you think. It was like in the 1860s or 1870s.
Wow.
Because I don't think they were cooking it very good back then, so sauce helps, right? It adds
Sure.
moisture and it adds flavor if it doesn't have moisture or flavor.
Yeah.
So I found this recipe by Googling around, and I thought, man, this is going to be great. Look, this the oldest sauce recipe from Texas ever. I'm going to make this. Old school, baby.
Yeah.
And I made it, and I'm like, this sucks so bad. So I used that as the base,
Yeah. Dressed it
and
up.
then I kind of dressed it up a little bit, and then we made our sauces. But a lot of the side dishes that we do, in fact, 2 of them are brisket baked beans. So
Okay.
we have, like I told you earlier, sometimes the end of the flat dries out a little bit, so it's not good for slicing. Boom, 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 chunk it up, throw it in the baked beans. Was doing that back in the backyard and stuff like that.
That's great.
We also make a brisket chili, which is smoked brisket and chili sauce.
Oh yeah.
I want some.
It's pretty good. And then of course, mac and cheese, which I swore it's in my business plan. I'll never have mac and cheese
Because you have to.
I had to. So,
No, dude. Just
but I got
saying.
really, really lucky that I don't know about lucky, but one of my customers came in. He was talking to me. And he said, "Jeff, why don't you have mac and cheese?" And I said, "Because I'm steam table guy. We don't make anything to order. It's barbecue. It's all done. You walk in. I mean, we're making mac and cheese in batches behind the scenes and making more coleslaw behind the scenes, but basically it's all portioned up and ready to go, right?" So this guy says, "Oh man, have you know anything about molecular gastronomy?" And I said, "I don't know how to spell it, But
Sort of.
exactly, right?
Wow.
So he was involved. What was that group in Woodinville? They wrote the huge cookbook, and it was all about
yeah.
molecular gastronomy. Can't remember the name of it right now. He worked for them. And he said, here, just look this up online and blah, blah, blah. We've got this recipe for a nice creamy mac sauce that won't break, and it uses sodium citrate, and which is an emulsifier. It emulsifies the fats and the water and the milk or whatever, the liquids. And I tried it, and I'm like, shit, now I can serve it. So that's good.
You know what I found out?
What?
There's already sodium citrate in American cheese slices.
Mm-hmm.
So you just fling a few of those in there. You don't have to worry about anything.
Oh.
You know who invented sodium citrate? This dude's name was Kraft.
For real?
Kraft singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He invented the emulsification process for
man,
cheese.
I don't
So
have
that's where
that.
that all came
Yep.
from.
Wow.
Very cool.
Well, we just
Now
did
we get to use it.
a big mac and cheese story, so everybody's going to be expecting mac and cheese.
Just throw a couple
Thanks-
slices of
thanks,
American
buddy.
in there,
Yeah, take your
dude.
own advice.
Thanks, buddy.
American cheese in there. Easy.
Oh, dude, it's cool, man. It's cool to hear, I feel like, go back to this is an art, and you've just really done a lot of studying and traveling because you love it. You're not classically trained to do this, and this is why I love this business and in smoking meat is just so many people just do it because they love it and not necessarily because I was taught this or that in my past. So it's just I want to do this because I'm such a fan of it. I want to eat this style and I want to feed people this style of meat, and it sounds like you're doing a hell of a job up there in Marysville, man. I mean,
I can't wait to get up there.
we hear great things, man. And then
you do have a lot of beer, though, right?
We have beer. Yeah.
but you come in and chat with us, man, even makes me even more more excited, I think, because I was like, okay, you are for real, man. You're honorary meat dude for sure. Yeah, man, for sure.
We're gonna get you a crown.
All right.
It's made out
And
of bacon.
Hey, tell us real quick where you get your meats from.
So the brisket comes from Snake River Farms,
Nice.
and
That's good stuff.
pork mostly comes out of Oregon.
Yeah.
They're really good for pork. That's about it.
Good stuff, man.
U.S. Foods is our procurer.
Yep.
So basically, I don't buy any meat that U.S. Foods stocks standard.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I want what I want,
Totally.
and they go out and get it for me, and then I have that avenue to purchase
That's
it.
nice of them.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
they're happy to do it.
I bet they
Yeah.
are.
We buy a lot of it.
I bet. I mean, doing 30 briskets a day, oh my gosh. So
You don't even want to know what this guy spent on wood.
yeah,
that just showed up from Texas for 7 months.
What? Oh man, I don't know. Are you allowed?
You want me to
it?
say?
Are you allowed to say it?
About $9,000.
Yeah,
Post oak from Texas.
13 cords.
13 cords, so that'll last you 7 months.
About that. Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
Ooh, that's a pretty penny to drop. So
Yeah.
you better be selling a lot of meat.
Put
either-
that in your business plan.
I'm either really smart or really stupid. I don't know. We'll find out.
That's a bulk order right there. Of
Yeah.
wood. Wow. Well, we got to get up and check you out, man. What exit you're off of up in Marysville?
Exit 200 off I-5, just east side of the I-5 freeway there, and on State Avenue in
Right next to the
Marysville.
casino. Yep. Close
On
to
the other side of the freeway from the
Okay.
casino. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can come over, eat some food,
Yeah.
then we can go over to the casino,
There's other things to do.
win back the money you
Yeah.
spent on the food.
Hey, I like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, we got it. We are definitely coming up. To see
All right, well, let's do it.
Yeah. Then we'll do some collab stuff down the road, but this will be featured in May barbecue month. So I'm really happy you came down here, man, to check us out and talk
Barbecue
with us,
month.
man. This is
May.
cool.
Barbecue month,
Barbecue
May.
Ready.
month, yeah.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner.
Now, hopefully, we get a little bit of sunshine and can actually get out here and do a little bit more. But with that being said, let's sign it off here. Lady J Meat Dudes, I'm Evan.
Tyler.
I'm Jeff.
All right.
Da-da-da.